Elon hired a CEO for Twitter. Linda Yaccarino, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, was the head of ad sales at NBC Universal. She's a legend in the advertising business. She worked at Turner for 15 years before that. She is a workaholic, is what she says. She's going to take over everything but product and CTO. Elon's going to stick with that. She seems to be very moderate, and she follows people on the left or right. People are starting the character assassination and trying to figure out her politics. That she was involved with the World Economic Forum, which anybody in business basically does. But your take, Sachs, on this choice for CEO and what this means just broadly for the next 6 months, because we're sitting here at 6 months almost exactly since Elon took over. Obviously, you and I were involved in month one, but not much after that. What do you think the next 6 months holds, and what do you think her role is going to be? Obviously, there's some precedent for this with, Gwen at SpaceX.
Listen, I think this choice makes sense on this level. Twitter's business model is advertising. Elon does not like selling advertising. She's really good at selling advertising. So he's chosen a CEO to work with who's highly complementary to him in their skill sets and interests. And I think that makes sense. I think there's a lot of logic in that. What Elon likes doing is the technology and product side of the business. He actually doesn't really like let's call it the standard business chores, and especially related to, like we said, advertising. And he loves to offload that stuff. Yeah, so he wants to offload
meeting with
that
advertisers,
stuff.
I think it's his personal nightmare.
Right. So I think the choice makes sense on that level. Now, instantly, you're right. Her hiring led to attacks from both the left and the right. The right, pointed out her views on COVID and vaccines and her work with the WEF. And then on the left, the attack is that she's following libs at TikTok, which you're just not allowed to do, apparently.
A follow is not an endorsement.
Well, if you're just following libs at TikTok, they want to say you're some crazy right-winger now.
Well, she also follows David Sachs. So that does mean that she's pretty, that is a signal. But the truth is, Sachs, correct me if I'm wrong here, or Chamath, maybe I'll send it to you. If you pick somebody that both sides dislike or are trying to take apart, you probably pick the right person, yeah?
Here's what I think.
Okay, go ahead.
We're not going to know how good she is for 6 to 9 months. But here's what I took a lot of joy out of. Here's a guy who gets attacked for all kinds of things now, right? He's an anti-Semite, apparently. And then he had to be like, I'm very pro-Semite. He's a guy that all of a sudden people think is a conspiracy theorist. He's a guy that people think is now on the raging right. All these things that are just like inaccuracies, basically firebombs thrown by the left. But here's what I think is the most interesting thing. For a guy that theoretically is supposed to be a troll and everything else, he has a female chairman at Tesla, a female CEO at Twitter, and a female president at SpaceX.
Of course. It's a great insight. It's the same insight. I think a lot of these virtue signaling lunatics on the left.
Virtue signaling mids.
They're
all
lunatics.
mids.
And you know what? Like you have Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders giving, the CEO of Starbucks a hard time when he doubled the pay of the minimum wage, gave them
Freeberg
healthcare.
loves it. Freeberg, you love mid, right? That's a great term, isn't it?
It's so
Mids.
funny.
These fucking mids.
And paid for the college tuition. What gives you the right at Starbucks to pay for college tuition and double the minimum wage? That's all right.
So mid.
I don't know why it's so funny to me.
Isn't it so great? Like you can just because you can picture them. When I say that these are these mids feverishly typing on their keyboards, their virtue signaling nonsense.
Sachs wrapping it up.
Yeah, look, like you said, Elon has worked extremely well with Gwynne Shotwell, who's the president of SpaceX, for a long time. And I think that relationship shows the way to make it work here at Twitter, which is they have a very complementary skill set. I think my understanding is that Gwynne focuses on the business side and the sales side of the operation. Elon focuses on product and technology. She lets Elon be Elon. I think if Linda tries to rein Elon in, tell him not to tweet, or tries to meddle in the free speech aspects of the business, which is the whole reason he bought Twitter, which
that is
I think
the beginning and end of it.
Yeah, that's right. That's when it will fall apart. So my advice would be let Elon be Elon. He bought this company to make it a free speech platform. Don't mess with that. And I think it could work great.
And a free speech platform it is. When you are say anything about COVID, and I really don't even want to say it here because I don't want to even say the word COVID or vaccine means that this could get tagged by YouTube and be the algorithm could I don't know what they call it, deprecate this, and when we don't show up and people don't see us because we just said the word COVID. I mean, the censorship built into these algorithms is absurd.